How much can you make day trading the crypto futures market? Well, everyone wants to know the answer to the question, how much can I make in a day trading crypto futures? But nobody wants to give you the brutal truth. I've been trading for over 20 years, and I'll be the first one to tell you that some days I make 5 figures in minutes, and others I've blown up accounts. Now, legally, I have to tell you, crypto is risky. Don't listen to anything I say. This is all for entertainment purposes, blah, 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 as you know. But in this video, I'm about to give you the real numbers behind daily trading profits anyway, and show you what you actually need to focus on if you want to build true wealth. So the real math behind daily profit potential, people can make $1,000, $10,000, $100,000 every day like clockwork. So how much money you can make in a day totally depends on how much money you have in your account and how much you're willing to risk as a margin per trade. So for an example, if all you have is $1,000 to your name, or that you want to deposit into your trading account, let's just say, we would never recommend in our group that you risk the entire amount on a trade. So what we would do, if you're using proper risk management, let's just say, hypothetical for this example, just to make the numbers easy, that you're going to risk 10% of your account balance on a trade. We would recommend anywhere from 1 to 3 to 5% tops in the beginning until you get your feet wet. But let's just say you're risking 10%. You have $1,000 in your account, you're risking 10%. That means you're risking $100. Now, if you use proper risk management and you determine that you're going to go long on this trade and you want a 4-to-1 risk to reward ratio using the equations and the strategies that we teach, let's just say that you're going to make 4-to-1 risk to reward ratio, which means that if it goes in the direction you want, you'll make 4 times more that you will lose if it goes the direction that you don't want. So stick with me here. You got $1,000 in your account, you're going to risk 10%, which is $100, and then you're going to put a 10% stop loss on that, which means you're really only risking $10 on that trade. What is $10 compared to your $1,000 in your account balance? That is a 1% risk of your entire account balance on any given trade. So that's proper risk management as an example. So that would be the way to properly get started. You would only risk a certain portion of your margin. Of course, less experienced traders, you should risk even less than that, and you should only play with money that you are comfortable with losing, because you will have some losses in the beginning. Now, leverage is a whole nother story. I regularly trade with 20x leverage, turning $20,000 into $400,000, and I've traded with people who've made hundreds of thousands of dollars in a matter of minutes because they have 6 million in their account and they're trading with, let's say, 300,000 contracts, which is $300,000 on a trade, and it moves 1% in the market. So to give you an example, the cool thing about trading with leverage is that if you don't have any leverage and you go long, let's just say, on a trade, and the trade moves 1%. So if you have $1,000 in your account and you're only risking 10% of that, which is $100, and the trade moves 1% in the direction you want, without any leverage, you've only made 1% of $100, which is $1. You're not going to retire off that. You're not going to quit your daytime job from that, right? However, if you're just getting your feet wet and you want to learn, you might have taken that trade with 20x leverage instead of no leverage. Now, 20x leverage, the trade moves 1%. You have $100 at risk. So really, you only would have made $1, but because you're at 20x leverage, you made $20. So instead of 1% gain, you made 20% gain on a 1% move in the market. This is the magic and the power of trading with leverage. You know, it only takes about 300 trades to turn $1,000 into $1 million at 2% profit per trade, compounded. So what does that mean? That doesn't mean 300 years, 300 months, 300 weeks, 300 days. It's 300 trades at a 2% gain per trade. Compounding, meaning you're not taking the profit out. So every time you make 2% on your $1,000, you're going into your next trade with 2% more than you made on your last trade, so on and so forth. It takes about 300 trades to turn $1,000 into $1 million. That's how compounded interest works. And that's with a little bit of leverage. You can easily do that because in the market, for instance, Bitcoin futures contracts trading, the market moves anywhere from 1 to 5% every day. If you catch a 1 or a 5% move with no leverage, you're only making 1 to 5% of your margin. So if you have $100,000 in your account, you still are not going to risk the whole thing on a trade. You might risk, let's just say 10%, which would be $10,000. You got $10,000 at risk on this trade, and the market moves 1% in the direction you want. Well, now you're only making 1% of $10,000. That's $100. That's not terrible, but still, it's not going to retire you. If you're at 10x, 20x, or even 50x leverage on that trade, now instead of making $100, you make $100 times 50, which is $5,000, which is a 50% gain on your $10,000 margin. This is why we call this the crypto wormhole method, and this is how we compress time, showing you how to get much further along in a much shorter period of time. Okay, you can't do this without leverage. Just like all rich people, billionaires, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, they use leverage to make more money. How so? Very simple. Donald Trump, for instance, borrowed hundreds of millions of dollars to purchase hundreds of millions of dollars with real estate. He would borrow 80-90% from the banks. He would bring in investors for the other 10%, and he would purchase a 100-unit apartment building, let's just say. And then he would improve the apartment building, raise the rents, get it reappraised for a much higher price, sometimes twice as much. Bought it for $10 million, get it reappraised for $20 million. Now it's worth $20 million. He'll get it refinanced for 80% of the current value, pull out $7-8 million tax-free cash, pay off the original investors in the bank, and pocket the $7 million difference for himself, tax-free. Loan proceeds. Takes that money. That's how you fund your lifestyle. That's how you pay for more investments. Okay, that's leverage. Elon Musk borrowed $40 billion against his stock portfolio to buy Twitter. He didn't use his own money. He borrowed it. Jeff Bezos, when he wants to buy a $200 million yacht, he doesn't sell $200 million worth of stock and generate a capital gains tax of a ridiculous amount. What he does is he borrows against his stock portfolio, buys the yacht with borrowed money, which is tax-free, pays that loan off with dividends earned from his stock valuation going up over time. This is how rich people get richer and pay less and less taxes, by understanding how to use leverage. And this is what we're recommending you do here in the crypto market as well. So guys, we have students that have taken $250, turn it into $26,000 in their first month, like TJ, and then turn that into $250,000 in their first 4 months, and then turn that in over $1 million in 7 months. And that wasn't the end of it. That particular guy right there created a hedge fund after he made $1 million in his first 7 months, invited some friends to invest in his hedge fund, and turned that into $5 million in his first year. Inside of his first year in Crypto Renegades, over $5 million in profits, starting with less than $250 in his account. I know that sounds outrageous, but we do have a link below, first link under this description in this video, that will register you for our upcoming live event, where I'll explain all this and introduce you to TJ himself. So click that link, get signed up, and we'll see you there. Now back to the video. We have multiple students who have done ridiculous things like that. We have another guy named Chris who regularly makes $40,000 in a day, like it's nothing, trading Bitcoin futures contracts, along with what we call the unicorn coins. Unicorn coins are basically altcoins and micro caps and mid caps, anything pretty much other than Bitcoin. I trade Bitcoin futures contracts with leverage, XRP, Ethereum, some of the majors, but in our group, my partner Chad and some other members, we have a separate signal channel for those unicorn coins, and they do crazy gains because sometimes Bitcoin might only move 1 to 5% in the market, but XYZ token might go up 3,000% in a day. So these are the kinds of gains that you can make when you really understand what you're doing. By the way, if you want to see exactly how I do this, I'm hosting a free live training where I'm going to break down my underground wormhole method and show you the exact timing signals I use. Click the first link in the description to grab your spot. Now, back to the video. The reality most gurus won't tell you is that chasing big daily numbers is exactly what keeps you broke. What most people do is they get into trading, they put some money in their trading account, and they literally try to hit home runs right out of the gate. They try to double their amount. Maybe they do have a good trade and they make, $1,000. They want to keep doing that. They think that's going to happen over and over again. So they're chasing the big moves and they're getting nickeled and dimed on the stop losses, and they're over trading. They're trading too much. They're chasing trades. The price is going up, so they jump in and try to ride it up, and immediately turns on them. The price is going down. They jump in on a short and it immediately turns on them. Instead of understanding where support and resistance is, understanding the perfect timing to get in and enter these positions. Our traders who get this and understand this, they don't obsess over it. Okay. They wait for the proper trade setups, and that's what we want to show you how to do. So the traders who build real wealth, they aren't the ones chasing massive daily gains. They're the ones who understand that trading is a marathon, not a sprint. Your daily profit potential is only limited by your account size and risk tolerance, but your long-term success is determined by how well you manage that risk and follow a proven system. I've had students go from broke to millionaires, but they all had one thing in common. They focused on the process, not the daily P&Ls. If you want to learn the underground crypto wormhole method, plus the exact timing signals that tell you when retail traders are about to get wiped out, click the first link in the description to join my free live trading session, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I'll see you on the next video.